I spent a long time trying to think of something cute for saying Bama showed Mercer no mercy, but there just isn't anything there to work with.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson with the HSA Radio Network. That's me. Jimmy Stein with Bama Online. That's him. Thanks for making this your first listen. Thanks for being an everydayer, and thanks for being a newbie. And thanks to FanDuel for sponsoring this particular podcast. Jimmy, Alabama whipped up on Mercer yesterday, 52-7. Frankly, it was not even worthy of doing a post-game podcast is what we determined. I mean, I don't mean that to say the team didn't play well. I mean it to say, like, that thing went the way an Alabama Mercer game should go, and post game for that wasn't worth you guys missing the beginning of Wisconsin, Oregon, Tennessee, Georgia, or the end of South Carolina, Missouri. So we tried to do you guys a favor.
As always.
We're benevolent.
There's just not a lot to rehash when we made a lot of great plays, which is awesome news. But, you should make a lot of great plays against an FCS team. And, hey, I was, though, impressed with Alabama. I mean, I thought the game would be not tight, but I was expecting Alabama to kind of mail this in, but they didn't at all. I mean, they played hard. They got after it. I thought that they took the opportunity to improve. And I was really impressed, not just with the way they played, but the way that they played with attitude and personality. And they look like each Saturday is a valuable opportunity, not just, hey, we're going to win today no matter what. So let's just roll it out there and see what happens. I was very impressed with how hard Alabama played and how well they played coming off an emotional win in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, and even though you could start off with Ryan Williams being the one to get this thing kicked off and scoring 2 more touchdowns and the first 2 touchdowns of the game, or Xavier Brown returning a fumble all the way, and you know what? I appreciate the officials for picking up the block in the back, I guess is what it would have been on LT Overton on the quarterback, which he clearly did. I can't believe they picked that foul up. I saw the highlight again today, and I was like, he tackled him. I mean, but it meant nothing.
The officials aren't biased against Alabama. They're just not good.
They're not, number one, they're not good. But number two, I choose to believe, because it's a Sunday morning and I'm trying to be happy, I choose to believe they were like, this isn't going to matter. And this is a big moment for Xavier Brown. And oddly, crazily, this is the first turnover return for a touchdown Alabama's had all year. So they were like, it's fine. I mean, it's not going to affect anything if we call this. I'm hoping that's what it was, because that's really what it should have been. The quarterback wasn't tackling the guy. So I think that it's fine that the quarterback himself got tackled, which he clearly did. I mean, let's all be fair. If this were Alabama, Texas in the SEC title game, they would have called that. They should have. They may not have called it because they stink, but
yeah, I just explain all missed calls just as incompetence, just in the same way that the players drop balls, fumble,
yes,
miss blocks, blocks in the back. I think they just saw it incorrectly. Shocking.
Yeah.
But hey, Ryan was great. Jalen Milroe, I believe Cole Kubelik put out this stat yesterday. Jalen Milroe is now 5th in SEC history in terms of single season passing and rushing touchdown, the 5th person to get, I think, 15 passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns in the same season, with still 2 games to play, to say nothing of the postseason. Who knows if Jalen Milroe may make an assault on being responsible for the most touchdowns, rushing and passing. I mean, his season has been spectacular. I think it's been overshadowed a bit by the Heisman guys, Genty and Hunter, but I think Jalen Milroe, when all is said and done, is going to have a season worthy of an invitation in New York City. I don't know that that's going to happen, but he's putting up numbers to make that argument with 2 games to play. So we'll see if his name catches a little fire. Like I've told you guys on the show a couple of weeks ago, that would be pretty cool, because I think it's unprecedented in Alabama history if Jalen Milroe finishes in the top 10 in the Heisman voting 2 years in a row. I'm not sure any other Alabama player has ever done that.
No Alabama player has, but somebody brought up like Tim Tebow.
Oh, I'm sure others have, but I'm talking about Alabama history and Milroe's spot in Alabama's history. Oh, I think you hit you somehow.
I don't know that Genty and Hunter have overshadowed him as much as Alabama lost to Vanderbilt, and that sort of like took him out of the running. I mean, look.
It's so crazy. He didn't play badly. He wasn't that bad against Vanderbilt. But I agree with you that Vanderbilt game sort of sunk Jalen's Heisman thing. It's just kind of silly in the sense that, he didn't play that bad.
Yeah. But I think that when you lose a game like Vandy, you got to make up for it with some really awesome stuff. If he had lost to Vandy first and then did what he did to Georgia, ironically, I think he'd be right in the thick of it. But he did Georgia first and then Vandy, and I think it took him down a couple of notches. But, give the defense some credit. The last few games, I know they gave up, 24 to Tennessee. But really, I wouldn't even call that all on the defense. I would say the offense didn't help them much that day. But then they shut out Missouri, a Missouri team that, by the way, is pretty good. I mean, we just saw them yesterday give South Kakalaki all they needed. Then we give up 13 points to LSU, but 7 of them were jerk Brian Kelly's a jackass points. And then we give up 7 points yesterday. And if we give 7 points to a dude who can make that catch, more power to him. Congratulations. And frankly, I was a little happy for the quarterback that grew up an Alabama fan.
Yeah, and that was a spectacular catch. Notice how a couple of games this year, the one touch or a touchdown Alabama gives up is due to a circus catch. Yeah. The Mercer kid, that was as good as any of them. But, Nick Harbor, who caught the South Carolina ball, who sort of pushed off on Damani, but made that incredible catch to make the South Carolina game close. That was unbelievable. Even last week, the catch in LSU where they beat Mbakwe, that was a phenomenal catch. So it shows that the defense is sort of forcing the team. Hey, you want to score, you're going to have to make a play that's 10 out of 10 here because, Luke's right. The defense has been lights out. The way I credit it, or the way I'm thinking, Luke, is 17 years of playing defense one way. I think there was an adjustment period in September and early October in terms of the defense getting comfortable with the new scheme. And that makes all the sense in the world. It should take a while. They've been doing it one way for 17 years. That DNA sort of gets embedded, to say nothing of recruiting guys that fit that system. It just took a few games, I think. And now this defense seems really comfortable with what Kane Wommack is teaching out there.
Yeah. And, we got Quay Rusall out there making interceptions. What's going on? And it was a beautiful
both of his interceptions have been highlight play. It's not like he's getting hit in the numbers because the quarterback didn't see him. No, he's out there making plays that even cornerbacks are like, wow, well, that was an athletic looking catch.
And he's falling. It'd be one thing if he were if he saw the ball in the air and then he starts falling backwards trying to adjust. He's already falling when the ball's coming towards him, and he has to adjust while he's falling. That's a little bit different. And also props to Deontay Lawson for causing that interception, who Deontay had an interception himself last week. So, and Jahad Campbell is playing like a man possessed right now. So the defense is really coming on strong.
Ready. This is what it looks like when an NFL player is like announcing he's ready to play in the NFL. That's what Jahad, and I hate saying that out loud because I don't mean to be wishing it into existence. I hope Jahad stays, but he's nuts. He looks like an NFL player playing college football games right now. And what's really amazing about that is he's a true junior. It's not a redshirt junior. He's not a senior. This is just his third year. Let's also remember he was an edge player coming out of high school. He has basically moved to inside linebacker in college and playing this role. Now, of course, we play him inside and outside at Alabama, but Jahad, the last 3 weeks or so, Luke, is just basically, how players sometimes announce they're entering the draft. I think Jahad's play the last 3 weeks is his announcement that he's entering the draft. He's been phenomenal, and not inside linebackers don't always go in the first round. He will.
I agree. Let's talk a little 5-Hour Energy. Our friends over at 5-Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby. It's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all-day tailgates, touchdown celebrations, or an ongoing second overtime. Sometimes those aren't as agonizing, but I see what they're saying. Which is why they've created the Stand the Fan 5-hour energy shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel. The energy shot made just for super fans like us. Look, what about a huge play from the last game? That hyped you up. Or a big upcoming matchup. That hypes you up. Or did you get a new jersey you're excited about? That hypes you up. Well, this is what this Fan Fuel does. It makes you feel like that. 5-hour energy knows no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. Whether you're prepping for the big tailgate or ironing your jersey, the game day list is always a mile long. That's why the limited edition Stand the Fan 5-hour energy shot is here to help you get fueled throughout the season. 5hourenergy.com is where you want to go. 5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5hourenergy.com. And it's shipped nationwide. What's your Fan Fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with Fan Fuel. And now I'm having to work really quickly and get back over to Academy because we love Academy.
Our buddies say it every time. Our pals, our friends, the good people at Academy.
The good people at Academy who love us too. Your Academy Sports and Outdoor store is now open in Birmingham with all the best in sports equipment, outdoor gear, apparel, and footwear from the brands you love. All at low prices every day. We carry a wide selection of trusted brands like Nike and Stanley and Brooks and Carhartt and Blackstone and Yeti and Titleist and Shimano and more. Plus, you can shop online or on our app with free in-store pickup or enjoy free shipping to your home on purchases over 25 smacks. Your new Academy Sports and Outdoor store is located at 4610 U.S. Highway 280. It's in the shopping center with Target that you know about. It's over there by Chick-fil-A. It's across from that car wash. And the Academy is located in the old Best Buy building. You can't miss it. So go check out Academy. Jimmy and I have been there, and we loved it. You'll love it, too. Go check out Academy. Okay, so who else stood out for you, Jimmy, today? I'll tell you what stood out to me. The leadership afterwards and the camaraderie of the team. Tyler Booker tweeting out, and look, maybe it was a canned thing. Maybe some people will be pessimistic and like, hey, that's just something that somebody does. It's easy to tweet out, how much you love the walk-ons after a blowout in a game like that. Again, I choose to believe Tyler Booker is a magnanimous, is a person, is a thoughtful person, is a humanitarian, and that he looked out there and saw his dudes that he practiced against every day kicking some booty themselves and decided, hey, I'm going to give them their props, their flowers. And I choose to believe that. And I think he did that very well. You can go check out Tyler Booker's tweet. He's the definition of a leader to me. But you think about guys like Ty Simpson, whose escapability was on full display. Rico Scott, who made the best catch of the day outside of the one the Mercer kid made. His may be even better. It was a beautiful catch. Yeah. And how about
Rico's going to be good.
How about Rico? Yeah, Rico's going to be good one day. Then let's see. How about some of the other guys like whose name escapes me, number 68, who got some playing time. And I saw a tweet out about him. And somebody said,
Roby.
Huh?
Roby.
Yeah, they said when people say I hate games like this in the middle of the season, and then you get to see how happy that guy was that he got to play. Or even somebody like a Robbie Oots, who, yeah, he's played a lot. He started. But we got him loose on the deepest pass we threw all day.
Yeah, that was cool.
Who would have had that? I mean, that
good vision.
1,400 to 1 odds.
Good vision. And DeBoer, I thought different watching it live, but DeBoer pointed out on his TV show that was actually the first read on the play, and Robbie just did a great job of carrying out the play as executed and ended up wide open. I couldn't agree more, Luke. It was cool seeing all those guys play and the older guys acknowledge it. One thing's for sure, I thought Ty was fine. I thought Lonergan and Austin Mack were fine, but I hope, once again, as if it's ridiculous to even have to say this out loud, I hope our fans really got to see, and since they all played, about how Jalen Milroe is the best equipped today to give Alabama their best chance to win championships. The other guys, it's not like they aren't ready. I think Ty is ready, but Ty is ready like Milroe became ready last year. Milroe became ready as the season progressed. I think Ty today is where Jalen Milroe was at last year. And hopefully, next year, Ty will be where Jalen Milroe was in 2024. But I'm glad that all of them got to play and show what they could do. Richard Young is another guy I want to point out. On a snap-to-snap basis, I'm not so sure that Richard Young isn't proven that he should be taking some of these reps from Miller and Haynes, because Richard Young to me now looks completely healthy, and there might be a degree of physicality to him that we might not have with the other guys. So I'll be interested to see Richard Young getting some reps against Oklahoma and Auburn. I doubt it happens. I kind of hope it does. Again, just to my eye, when he's getting his chances now, every time he carries the ball, I'm like, man, I think we should be giving him the ball in the first quarter, not the fourth quarter.
Boy, I think that sentiment is growing and growing and growing as, I watched last night, I watched Wisconsin, Oregon a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know, I don't remember his first name, but Oregon's running back's last name is James. And I saw him like fire off the ball. I mean, like he grabbed the ball and then he was gone. Like now he never had a 75-yard touchdown or anything, but the way he hit the corners, I was like, we don't have anybody that can do that outside of Milroe can, but you can still see he's got a hesitation, and it's not fair to judge him on that because Milroe is the quarterback. I need a running back that's going to do that. And right now, Jam and Justice just aren't doing that. I'm not saying they're not good. They're fine. But I will say this, they have not performed as well as I thought they were going to this year. That is not an insult. That's just a fact. And I don't know how anybody could say, yeah, Jam and Justice have exceeded my expectations this year. They haven't. So I'm ready to see a Richard Young come in there and try something. Shoot, I thought Kevin Riley showed me some burst yesterday on occasion.
He's probably the fastest guy in the room. As a matter of fact, I say probably. He definitely is. He's the fastest guy in that room. He just needs to gain some size. I mean, I think he's the ideal running back red shirt, because that's a position where you don't really think of red shirts. But Kevin Riley needs a layer of muscle added to what he's got, because even with his quickness and burst, he's going to have to run through tackles. It's the SEC. Defenders are fast too. You're going to get hit. There's going to be contact. You got to be able to run through that. I'm with you that Jam and Justice have been, I don't want to say off. I don't even want to say disappointing. I'm not sure that that's true, because I do think that a lot of what goes on with them is usage and how they're used in the RPO game. I think that's some of it, but some of it is on Jam and Justice, because the production just hasn't been what we thought it might be. Now, their yard per carry number looks good. A handful of big plays have helped that, but hey, they count too. For them to say, yeah, it's all one big play. Yeah, that counted, and it was big and huge, and we're not going to hold it against him that he had an 85-yard touchdown against, Western Kentucky in the first week. So, but their numbers are okay on a per carry basis. But I agree with you, Luke, that I said this yesterday. I felt bad saying it out loud, but I felt it just kind of had to be. Last year, when Jase and Roydell were the backs, it was all like, man, we should be playing Jam and Justice. Well, the coaches are there every day. They see it every day. They went with the veterans. And I think we now see why that I don't think Jam and Justice would have been an upgrade over what we got from Jason Roydell in 2023.
Yeah, and here's maybe the scary fact of all that. Maybe we just haven't had a running back like we've had when it comes to a Derrick Henry or Trent Richardson or Mark Ingram or TJ Yeldon
or even Najee.
Najee. Shoot, when we say even Najee was fantastic, especially his last year, or even Eddie Lacy for that matter. I mean, we just haven't had a running back. I mean, my kingdom for a Ken Darby right now. I mean, am I crazy? Was Ken Darby?
To me, now, Darby, I love his style, but I mean, Jam and Justice are going to be NFL football players, and I think they're going to be good NFL football players. I also think we have to remember this is their first year as hugely significant players on the team, and I think they'll both be a year better next year. Heck, we might find Jam in the NFL next year, and I think if he comes out, he would be a mid-round pick. I think they're fine. We just thought they would be much better than fine, and they're not. So, and again, some of it I do blame a little bit on usage, and we clearly highlight Jalen Milroe as the run threat, and rightly so. That's not a criticism. I just think it kind of hurts Jamin Justice a bit.
The usage thing works both ways, though, right? I mean, if they were good enough, we'd be forced to use them more. I mean, the thing is, I don't think we trust them enough right now. Now, having said that, let me say this. Their blocking has been fantastic, which may even be more important. So we may be underselling that, but I have no problem saying this. I don't like saying it. Please don't think I like saying this. At the beginning of the year, when I know Auburn people were like fired up about their season, I know things have changed. But they kept telling me how good Jarquez Hunter was, and I kept saying he's fine. But in my mind, I was like, I'd much rather have Justice and Jam. I'll tell you this, Jarquez Hunter's a better running back than they are. And I hate saying that because I honestly didn't think it was true. Jarquez Hunter has proved to me it is true.
I couldn't agree. I felt the same way. Beginning of the year, I'm like, Jarquez gets too much attention. I think Jam and Justice are going to prove they're just as good as that guy or better. No. Jarquez and Dylan Sampson are the two best running backs in this league.
Agreed.
And I might even say Jarquez better than Dylan. Dylan just benefits from the numbers of carries he gets, and he's playing on a better team than what Jarquez has got. But they're 1A.
He's got like 21 or 22 TDs, though. I mean, he's got a lot of TDs.
Oh, yeah,
and by the way, it's not like Tennessee's offense has been the Rams with Kurt Warner. I mean, they didn't score in the first half in like 3 straight games. So,
and what I mean by usage is when Alabama's going to run we're running the ball quite a bit. We actually run the ball quite a bit. But Alabama's primary run play, when we're going to run it, the primary run play is an RPO. And what that means is Jalen Milroe may keep it or he may pitch it. If we didn't have Jalen Milroe, the primary run play would probably be an inside zone handoff to Miller and Justice, and their numbers would be radically different. But our primary run play usually involves Jalen Milroe running the football. So,
frankly,
and that's what I mean by the usage. And that's not a shot at the staff. They're doing the right thing, clearly. But it hurts Jam and Justice a little bit.
FanDuel. FanDuel. It's NFL day, y'all. Get ready to tackle NFL action with America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get 150 smacks and bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Can't beat that with a stick. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of NFL. Now game time. My faves. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase with the GameTime app. The GameTime app is so easy to download and so easy to use that Luke and Jimmy can use it, and that should be their #1 testimonial. That should be on their website, like right at the front. Just a picture of us sitting there like this, like some kind of mugshot, and they go, "These two guys can use it." That ought to be what it is, because that's how simple it is, and you can see where you're going to sit. And Luke, me, right here. The guy that's always on mute that can't operate his own computer. Yeah, I've used it for the World Series, Major League Baseball, college football, college basketball, college baseball, concerts, NFL. I've used it for everything. The NBA, I've used it for everything, man. I used it. I got a $1 ticket to go see the Utah Jazz play. I didn't even go see them play. I just wanted to go in the stadium and get a cup. And I did, and I forgot the cup. But anyway, that's GameTime can't do everything. So anyway, go check out GameTime. Use that app. And then just, write me and Jimmy a letter. Yeah, an old-timey letter. Do that. Tell us how much you love us. Want to give a couple of shout-outs real quick. I think the guy said his name was Douglas Harris. I saw him in Publix the other day. And it was funny because he was behind me and he was saying, "Excuse me." And I thought he was telling me, like, to move, but there was a woman in front of me that I was about to say "excuse me" to. I was like, this is ironic. So I was about to turn around. It's sort of like when somebody gets on your butt in traffic and you're like, I can't go anywhere. but they can't see the car in front of you. And like, you're like, oh, if you would just see that there's a person in front of me, I don't think you do this. And he goes, excuse me. And I sort of whipped around. He goes, locked on Bama? And I was like, yeah, thanks for listening. I'm sorry. I almost cussed at you. And then
you should mouth to these people. I would thank you for listening, but I'm on mute.
That's what I should just be wearing this all the time. Then I was doing the scoreboard for my daughter's basketball game, and a guy came up to me and said, really liked the show, and I appreciate that. He didn't give me his name. But my daughter scored 10 of our team 16 points, so I'm pretty proud of that. How about that? 16-6, baby. It was a rout.
Cristiano Ronaldo, the daughter.
And it was funny, like I know we're going to get back to Bama stuff, but I'm going to brag for a second. So there's one other girl in this league that, like, she makes everything. I don't know her name, but she's unbelievable.
Ryan Williams?
Yes, it's Rynette Williams. And the guy that was like running the whole show told me yesterday, said there were two kids that got, he said, we rank all these kids like 1 through 10 and nobody ever gets a 10 or something. Sela and this other girl were the only ones that got 9 for this season. So I'm proud of Sela. But okay, let's talk a little big picture. First of all, Michael Carroll did go visit Colorado, and Colorado sang happy birthday to that famous fan they have that comes in, and it was probably
she turned 100, I think.
I mean, big whoop. I'm 52. I'm teasing.
Yeah, you're more than half as good as her.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, is there any concern with the Michael Carroll thing? I don't think so, but is there?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would say there is some, because he did go on an official visit. They're an appealing program. They signed a 5-star tackle last year that was an immediate starter and a big part of their improvement in Jordan Seaton. We lost an offensive lineman we wanted from the same area to them last year. So in that sense, there's a concern, but there is no flip watch at BOL on Michael Carroll now. We have no inside scoop reason to be concerned at this point. But yeah, anytime you have a player that goes on a visit to an appealing place, you hold your breath a little bit. But, like I tell fans all the time, I mean, I think we should adopt the same persona, the same concerns that the coaching staff has. And the coaching staff gets concerned when this happens, but their level of concern doesn't mean that they lose sleep or they stress out or they're like, oh my gosh, we got to go find another tackle. It's just, hey, they live with a certain stress level. You have to live with a certain stress level if you're going to be a fan of this stuff. And that's how the staff does. They live with a certain amount of stress over all of them.
Well, we will have some more recruiting news as the week goes on. It's a big week. It's Oklahoma week. I got some friends going out there. I wish I could go out there. It's going to be a great game. But let's talk a little bit about the playoff picture now. All right. It used to be too early to talk about all this stuff. I think with 2 games left, it's not too early anymore. I think now, like, you get into the weeds a little bit, because we're on a text chain. Somebody said, it's going to really stink when Ohio State gets the 5 seed and they get a cakewalk. And I said, I don't think Ohio State can be the 5 seed. They're sort of in a pickle. Here's why. Ohio State only has 1 loss. That's true. But let's assume they win out and go to the Big Ten championship game. Let's assume they beat Indiana, which we all clearly think they will, and then they beat Michigan. Then they'll play Oregon again, right? If they lose to Oregon again, there's no way they get the 5 seed. I don't think. I would say it's highly unlikely.
I'd say unlikely.
Highly
possible,
unlikely.
But unlikely.
Okay. Yeah, I should really quit using these definitive terms. But if they win, they're a bye. So they either, and probably the number 1 seed, right? So Ohio State's either going to be 1, in my opinion, or something like 6, 7, 8. Now, here's where Alabama can really benefit. If Alabama wins out, I think Alabama has a good shot at the 5. Now, as long as we don't play in the SEC title game.
Which looks quite possible right now.
It looks quite possible.
We might be playing in Atlanta.
And I don't want to.
I do want to. I just need to. Is this too much to ask? I'm going to ask ESPN and the committee for a personal favor. Could y'all assure me that by playing in Atlanta doesn't mean Alabama plays its way out? Now, I don't believe that would happen. I really don't. I don't think the
either.
loser of the SEC championship games. I don't believe that. But do I try? It's kind of like SEC officials, though, Luke. They usually get the call right. They usually do. But do I trust them to get all the calls right? I absolutely do not. And I don't trust this committee. This is why I've been bitching about it for a couple of weeks. I'm trying to build some trust in these guys, but I don't trust them. Therefore, I'm a little worried about, hey, there's 6 SEC teams right now that have a great case to get in. They're going to have to leave SEC teams out. I'm worried getting that third loss in Atlanta is the excuse to get one of them out, because you can't have all 6 of these SEC schools that all finish 10-2 if that happened. If all 6 SEC teams finish 10-2, I'm not sure all 6 are getting in. So who gets left out?
But I'm going to say this. As long as Alabama doesn't lose to Oklahoma or Auburn, we're in. That is a definitive. That's a Luke Robinson, GameTime, FanDuel, Academy, 5-hour energy guarantee.
I don't like being that definitive. I'll use the term almost certainly. Almost certainly.
Okay, fair enough.
Which is different than certainly. Almost certainly.
Yeah. You want to be a chicken, that's on you.
It's partly being a chicken, but I don't like being wrong, says the guy who thought we would only beat Mercer 38-10.
Yeah, and I also thought Mercer would cover. So, I also didn't know Mercer was on like their third quarterback. So he was an Alabama fan. If you had told me, hey, Mercer's quarterback is like their third string and he grew up loving Alabama, I'd be like, yeah, we're covering that.
I honestly didn't know that either. And even worse, I went back and watched 20 minutes of a Mercer game from earlier this season to get a handle on how they play offense, what kind of offense are they. That's the main reason I watched the tape. And it was a different quarterback. So why did I waste that 20 minutes?
That's just the kind of expert level breakdown you get here on Locked On.
Yeah. In other words, we do put out some effort. It just may be wrong.
Jimmy watched the 1982 NHL championship in preparation for Bama Mercer. All right.
I'm impressed that you could go to YouTube and find Mercer Wofford. But you could. I did.
All right. That's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.